Okay, so while we're doing these videos, I need y'all to really pay attention and try to keep up with me. I'm going to try to go kind of slow on some of these, especially when I'm first introducing it. That way you don't get lost. Feel free to pause the video at any time if you need a second to kind of catch up. But you do need a graphing calculator, and you probably will need an extra sheet of paper tomorrow, so make sure that you have extra paper tomorrow, but today you don't really need an extra sheet. Okay, so what you have is this graphic organizer that's been given to you, and it goes through and gives you step-by-step instructions on how to put these matrices in the calculator. Because what we're going to be doing now is, now that we've showed you how to do them the long way by hand, we're going to show you how to put them in the calculator, and it just gives you the answer, so it's really nice. So this goes through and it actually tells you which buttons to push and everything, and I've got my calculator up here, so hopefully you'll be able to follow along. I'm just going to jump straight in and go straight to the first example. So the first page that you have here is just how to add, and then when you go over to the next page it tells you how to multiply. So we might be using multiplication some today too, so you need to make sure that you know that. It's just the same thing. The basic thing is that you need to know how to enter your matrix. If you can't enter your matrix, then you're not going to be able to do any of this. So okay, so hopefully you can see this. I'm trying to keep it to where it's a split screen, to where I can use both my calculator and have the screen up here so that I'm not switching back and forth too much. But first thing you want to do is put all of these in the calculator. So as you can tell, it's telling you what to do with each one. So it's saying a plus 3 times c, and then 2 times a plus d. So you want to make sure that you have all your matrices in the calculator. So the way you do that, and if you have your little cheat sheet out next to you that says adding matrices, you go to matrix, and the matrix button is right above the x to the -1 key. I don't know if you can see my circle. And that button is going to be where you get all of your matrix information. So you have to hit second to get there. So you do second, and then the x to the -1, which takes you to this screen that has all your matrix information. Now these matrices are labeled A, B, C, D, and I'm literally going to put them in just how they are over here. So matrix A is labeled A. I'm going to put it in as A on my calculator so I know exactly where they're at. So in order to edit it, you need to go over, click your arrow, and go over to where edit is highlighted. And we want to edit the first one, which is A. So hit enter there. And then you're just going to tell it what size matrix it is. So over here you can see that this is a 3x3. I'll go ahead and size all of them. B is a 3x4. C is a 3x3. And D is a 4x4. Okay, so you need that in order to be able to understand how to put these in there. Okay, so matrix A is a 3x3, so you do 3, and then you hit enter to move, and it'll automatically move you to the next spot. So 3, enter, 3. So then it's going to roll you through, and you just put in every single one. It goes across the rows first, and then it goes down. So put in the entries, -3, hit enter, it goes to the next one, and then 1, enter, 0, enter, -1, enter, 0, enter, -4, enter, 5, enter, -3, enter, -7, enter. Okay, so you want to make sure you hit enter after that last one so that it actually registers in it. If you don't hit enter, it's not going to be in there. So while we're doing this, you can kind of tell the key press history that's over here on the side. If you get kind of lost, you can pause it and then go back through, and you can actually see what keys I have hit. Alright, so now we're done with matrix A, so we want to put in matrix B. You can either go out of this, so you can do second and then mode, which will quit out of it, and go back into the matrix, or you can just do second matrix and go over to edit and then edit B. Now notice that it's put this 3 by 3 up here. So it tells me that my matrix A is a 3 by 3. Okay, so that tells me that I have something in there. Now these calculators have been used before, so it might already have a matrix in there. That's okay, you just type over what you have in there already. Okay, so there again we went second matrix to get into this and went over to edit. You're going to edit B. B is that 3 by 4. So take a minute and just put all of these in there. If I go too fast, then just pause the video, but you should be able to do this pretty quick too. And then you can tell where you're at. I know this one kind of went off the screen. I don't know if you notice it when I put in the numbers. Like when I get to the next one, after I put this -2 in there, it scoots over to the -8. Okay, so you can't see the whole matrix on there because it leaves a lot of space. But that's okay, it's still there. It's on both sides. And you can arrow over to see the other side. All right, so B's in, we need to put C in. This is what's going to take the longest. Make sure you hit edit and don't just go down to C underneath where you first get in there, because it won't work. Okay, C is a 3 by 3. And then you'll put those in. Hopefully I'm not going to make a mistake on here because there's nobody here to tell me that I did it wrong, so oh well. All right, and then I'm going to put D in there. So you go over to edit, go down to D, and D is a 4 by 4. Okay, so now that you've got all of them in there, if you're not all in there yet, just like I said, pause the video and you'll be able to go back and put all of them in there and then catch back up. Okay, so now we want to be able to do the operation that it says on number 1. We're going to start with number 1 here. And it says A plus 3C. Well, in order to use these matrices, I'm going to quit out of this. So I'm going to do second and then mode, so it gets me back to my home screen. And I'm just literally going to put that in just like it is. Now you have to actually tell it that it's matrix A. You can't just do alpha A. It won't work. So you have to do second matrix, and then underneath the names you're actually going to just hit enter when you're on the one that you want. So I want A. So it's going to put the brackets around it. That tells me it's a matrix. And then plus 3 times matrix C. So then I'm going to go get matrix C. There it is. And now you can see how it's entered in, and you're just going to hit enter, and there's your answer. That's so nice and convenient. So my answer is 6, 17 if I go down, 29, 16, 24, -3, -6, -25, and -19. And that's my answer. Okay, so it's really as simple as that, and you can do that with all of these. The only thing that I would suggest is that when you're putting these in, make sure that it's actually something that you can do first, because you know if you have matrices that are not the same size, like on this one, you've got 2 times A plus D. Well, A is a 3 by 3. And D is a 4 by 4. And I can't add those two because they're not the same size. So you cannot add. But let's say, for argument's sake, you did not realize that they were different sizes and you went ahead and put those in the calculator. So if you did 2 times matrix A plus matrix D, and like I said, I know I'm going kind of fast, but you can pause it and catch up. So 2 times matrix A plus matrix D, and you hit enter. Well, it tells me that the dimensions, DIM is dimensions, is mismatched. So in other words, they do not match. So I can't add these two. So even if you didn't realize it beforehand and you plugged it in, then you would still be able to tell that you won't be able to do it. Okay, so let's look at 3. 2 times AB. So in here, you can just quit, and it'll take you back out. So if we do 2 times A times B, you've got to do 2, and then it'll usually work if you do just 2A and then B right next to each other. But for some reason, I found that on some of them, especially when you start to get parentheses in there, you need to use the multiplication symbol in between the A and the B. And when I get there, I'll point it out. It's actually on the back page. Okay, so you can see that there's these dots on the end. So these dots that are over here, that means that there's more to the matrix on that side. So I'll probably need to arrow over to see the rest of the matrix. So I'll write down this first part before I go over to the other side. So then the first part is 0, -4, -16, and then 22, -14, -68, and then -16, 14, 68, and then I need to arrow over in order to see the rest of it. So there's the rest of it. There's that last column. So -2, 64, and 118. Okay? So there's your answer for that one. So these shouldn't take long at all when you're doing this. It's just a matter of actually putting them in. And 4 says 1/2 times BD, and of course anytime that you have a fraction, you need to put it in parentheses. 1/2 times matrix B times matrix D. Okay, so I'm doing it without the multiplication symbol in there, and it's working fine. It won't give you 2 different answers. Sometimes it might tell you that it doesn't work. It'll give you an error, and then I would try to put in the multiplication symbols in there. But as of right now, it's starting to work, so we're good. Okay, so this one's answer is -20, -23, 6.5, -16.5, -43, 2.5. I'm going to run over into the next one. -1.5, -12.5, -17. And if you're not getting the right answer, but you've put in the calculator correctly, I would go back and make sure that you put your matrix in correctly. So 28, 57.5, and 15.5. Okay, so I'll leave this up here for just a second, but then once I get number 5, I'm actually going to erase some of that. Okay, and I already had it wrote down, so I didn't need to go over, but there's the rest of it. You can always arrow over and see it. Okay, so go ahead and try 5 and 6 on your own. So go ahead and pause the video, try 5 and 6, and then when you're done, play the video and check and see if you're right. Okay, so I'm going to erase this one so that I have room to write 5's answer. So number 5, you should have gotten 18, 16, -4, 6, 16, 12, -4, 2, and 20. Okay, hopefully you got that one right. You literally just put it in the calculator just like it is. You would do 2 matrix C minus 4 matrix A. All right, so once you put it in there, you should just be able to hit enter, and since it knows the order of operations, it'll do it all for you. Okay, so on 6, you should have gotten, either if you put it in there, you would have gotten an error message, but you can't multiply these two. And the reason is because B is what is B? It's a 3 by 4. And then C is a 3 by 3. So these two do not match. So that's the reason why you can't multiply those two. Okay. All right, so anytime it says DET, that means determinant. So for 7 through 10, you're going to find the determinant. And the way that you do that, and there again on your steps on your calculator, I don't think it goes through. It does not. Okay, so you might want to, on the back page of that little adding matrices on this page, you might want to add a little something down at the bottom. You don't have to, because this is really kind of simple to do. So what you do to find the determinant is you're going to first go second matrix, and then you go over to math, and that's all of your operations that you can do with matrices. So you see that the first one is determinant. So that's what we want. So we want to hit enter, and it's putting our determinant in there. And you have to be in the home screen in order to do any of this. So you want to make sure you're back in the home screen, which is completely clear. And you're going to hit whichever matrix it is. So matrix A is what we want. So we want to do second matrix again. Grab matrix A. Close the parentheses. It works nicer when you close the parentheses. Hit enter. There's your determinant. Aren't you so glad? So it's 9. So then do the determinant of B. And you can use your second enter, but I just go through and do it again because it's a different matrice. So then matrix B, it says invalid. So the reason why it says invalid here is because matrix B is not a square matrix. It's a 3 by 4. So it has no determinant because it's not a square matrix. Okay, so anytime that you don't have a square matrix, you can't find the determinant of it. All right, so then find the determinant of matrix C. Go over to math, and it's option 1, and then tell it matrix C. And then close the parentheses, hit enter. So that's negative 128. Okay, and then do the determinant of matrix D. And it's like with any kind of device, once you get used to this, it'll be like second nature to you. So it's like adding contacts in your phone. It's not that bad. So you've got negative 3,936 for the determinant there. And you can have a negative determinant. We usually like for our determinants to be not 0 because tomorrow we'll discuss doing inverses. But okay, so let's look at the back. Now you're doing more steps on these. So you're using more than just 2 matrices. So on these, you're going to want to make sure that you write down what you label them in the calculator, because these are not just from a matrix bank. You don't have just one bank that you're looking at. So what I do is I write down as I go. So if I say that I'm going to put this in my calculator as A, then I'm going to put A above it. If this one's going to be B and this one's going to be C, I always write down. If you write down what you enter it as, then when you're going back and you're actually doing the operations, and especially when we end up getting to solving these, it's going to be a lot easier because you're just going to have a letter that represents that whole entire matrix. Okay, so these take just a little while, only because you're having to go through and actually edit those matrices again. Now, I already have a matrix in there, that's fine, but this time I'm going to edit it, and this first one is a 2 by 2, the next one's a 2 by 2, and the last one's a 2 by 2. So I'm just going to literally put those in, and you can just type over whatever it is, and it changes the matrix size depending on what you need. So then 2, -1, -2, and 3. And then I'm going to put in matrix B. Make sure you go to edit, because if you don't go to edit, it's not going to let you change the numbers. So then this is a 2 by 2 also. So -6, -2. And remember, we're just entering the matrix here. We're not actually going to do any operations yet. So don't worry about that negative that's out in front of that one, because it's just meaning that you're subtracting that matrix. Okay, so then matrix C, which is my last one, is a 2 by 2 also. And put those numbers in there. Okay, so I'm going to get out of this, clear everything out, and I need to take matrix A and subtract it from, this is basically what my calculator is going to look like, matrix A minus matrix B minus matrix C. Because I've already given those variables, then all I have to do is just plug them in the calculator. So then matrix A minus matrix B minus matrix C. And then hit enter. And it gives you your answer. And it always gives it to you. These are the columns. And so you don't have to worry about, well, is the 12 above the 6? Yes, it is. So it's 12, and then 6 is underneath it, and then 4, and 4 is underneath that one. So that is your answer. So you're going to do that with all these. So then the next one, it only has one matrix. So I'm just going to enter that one matrix, and I'm going to just call it A. So I'm just going to type over A on this one. And that matrix is a 2 by 3. So 2 by 3 on this one. And then go ahead and put just the matrix in. Don't worry about those numbers out in front of it yet. Alright, and then get out of there. So that is already entered into matrix A. So when I put this in my calculator, I'm going to do 5 times parentheses 4, and then I can do the matrix A right next to it. Okay, so that's how it's going to look in my calculator. So 5 times parentheses 4, and then put in my matrix A. Close the parentheses for that one, hit enter, and it does it all for you. So convenient. 0, 0, 60, negative 40, negative 40, negative 40. That's your answer. Okay, so go ahead and try to do 13. Just do 13 for right now. Pause it and then come back to me. Okay, so for 13, I let this be A, B, and C again. Put those all in my calculator, and I got 53, 80, 40, 40. Okay, so hopefully you got that one right. These, like I said, are pretty easy, so you shouldn't have to worry about not getting something right on these. I'm going to erase just a little bit just so I can write above it. So I'm going to let this one be A, B, and C. This is a 2 by 1 and a 1 by 3 and then a 3 by 2. Okay, so sometimes it helps to write those out because you know that you're going to end up putting those matrices in anyways, and you need to know what size. So if I edit A, so 2 by 1, and it's just going to be negative 5 and 5. That's it. So then I'm going to edit B, and that is a 1 by 3. And you've got 2, 0, and negative 2. And then edit matrix C. And that is a 3 by 2. Okay, so this is negative 6, negative 2, 2, negative 3, 0, and 3. Okay, so now I've got them all in there. Get out of there. And now when I put them in my calculator, this is one that for some reason, I don't know why it doesn't work. At least on my calculator it didn't when I did it at home. We'll see if it does on this one. If you don't use the multiplication symbol and you just put A and then matrix B and C right next to each other. I mean, that means multiplication, so I don't know why it wouldn't work. But let me try it on here and see if it works. So matrix A, parentheses. You do need to have your parentheses there because you need to multiply B and C first. So B times matrix C. Okay, and see, it tells me the invalid dimensions, but I know that it should be fine because this is a 3 and a 3 here, so those two can definitely be multiplied together, and you're going to be ending up with a 1 by 2, and this is a 2 by 1, and these two match, so you should be able to do that one also. So I'm not really sure why it doesn't work. It's kind of confounding, but if you put your multiplication symbols in here, it works. So let's go back and try to, I'm going to quit out of that one. And you can do second enter and go back over and you can insert. Now if you don't like doing that, if it's kind of confusing for you, then you can just type it all in again. Just make sure that you have your multiplication symbols in there. And then it works. I have no idea why, but if you ever get that to happen, I would just go back and make sure that if you put in the multiplication symbols, try it both ways. Whichever one works, use it. So the answer to this one is 60, negative 60, 10, negative 10. I mean, you could always use your multiplication symbols just to be safe, but either way. Okay, and then 15 through 18, you're just finding the determinant. So on each of these, I would label it A. So when you go through and you edit A, this first one is a 2 by 2 because it says determinant there. That's how I know. Not to mention these solid lines, straight up and down, not brackets, mean determinant. Okay, so the first one is a 2 by 2. And it's 2, 0, negative 4, negative 2. And then I'm going to do the, whoops, got to get out of it first. Need to get out, go back to your home screen before you tell it the determinant, because it'll put it right in there in the matrix if you don't. So determinant of A, and then you get negative 4. So this one is negative 4. And then when you plug this one in and you put it as A, something nice happens, because I can edit, and I'll show you one, and then I'll let you work on it. This is still a 2 by 2, so you can just enter over those. And it is 2, 0, negative 5, negative 4. So now when I get out of this one, I can just hit enter again. And because I changed my A, and it was already asking for the determinant of A, it changed my answer. So this one's negative 8. That's what's nice about it. Okay? So even if you change this one and 18, if you make them both A, then all you have to do is hit enter. Make sure, or you can do second enter, and it brings it back up, and you can hit enter, and it'll give you your answer. Okay, so pause the video, go ahead and do 17 and 18, and then when you come back, I'll give you the answers. Okay, so when you did 17, you should have got negative 19. And when you did 18, you should have got 79. Okay, so these videos are going to be on my website. If for some reason while we were going through it, you didn't get something, you can replay it over and over again just because you love the sound of my voice, or if you need something to help you go to sleep. So just make sure that you watch these over and over and make sure that you understand what's going on. Coach Howard also teaches this, so if you have any questions, then he'll be more than happy to help you out in the mornings or after school. Make sure that you do not take my calculators, though, for homework. There are matrix calculators online that you can use, so please don't take my calculators.